In this video, we're going to continue our examination on how to write equations in slope-intercept form, except for now we're going to be looking at it when we're given information. The information either being a point in a slope or 2 points in the line. So let's recall from what we did before, the two methods, just to remember, were point slope form, where you have x1 and y1, which represent a point on the line, and m being slope, and we start in that process, or we can start in slope-intercept form and solve for our b by plugging in an x, y coordinate and slope as well. Again, I'm going to try and use both approaches, both methods, so we can become familiar with them. I'm going to do one method probably for each problem. And so if I look at the first one, write equation in slope-intercept form that has a slope of 1/2 and passes through 1, 2. So in number 5, I'm going to start and use point slope form approach. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. The reason why I like point slope form is because it actually tells me what information I need. I need a point, x1, y1, and I need a slope, m. And so if I look, I'm given a point, I'm given a slope, and so point slope form right there. So I have y minus y1. My y1 is 2, so I have y minus 2. I have a slope of 1/2, x minus x1. So x minus my 1. And so what I do is I distribute y minus 2 equals 1/2 x minus 1/2, and then I add 2. So y equals 1/2 x. And if you do 1/2, negative 1/2, and you add 2, you're really adding 4 over 2, which gives you 3/2. So you get 1/2 x plus 3/2. And so there is your slope-intercept form. And so in example 6, I'm going to use the solve for b approach, which means start in slope-intercept form, plug in your x, y, and your slope, and solve for b. So my x, my y are 1 and 5, so y is 5. My slope is 2, my x is 1, and I'm going to solve for b. So 5 equals 2 plus b. So solve for b, you would subtract 2, and so b equals 3. And so my slope-intercept form is y equals my slope, which is 2, x plus b, so plus 3. If I wanted, I could use point slope form in this problem as well, or I could use my solve for b approach in this problem as well. I just want to show you the two techniques you feel, whichever ones you're comfortable with, you could use, just be familiar with both approaches. And so we're going to do the same idea for example 7 and 8. For example 7, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my point slope form. I want to know the equation of a line that passes through negative 1, 3 and 2, 2. So I have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So if I'm using point slope form, I need a point, x1, y1, which I'm given, and I need a slope. But I'm not given a slope from this. I'm given 2 points, so that tells me I need to find my slope. And so luckily we have a slope formula for that. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I plug in 2 minus 3 and 2 minus a negative 1, so 2 plus 1. That gives me negative 1/3. So now I know my slope, and I can go approach the problem. Y minus y1, so I'm going to do y minus 3 equals 1/3 times, so negative 1/3, times x minus x1. So really I'm doing minus a negative 1. So that means I'm doing x plus 1. So I'm going to distribute. I get negative 1/3 x minus 1/3. And then I'm going to add 3. So I get negative 1/3 x. And if I do negative 1/3 plus 3, I'm doing negative 1/3 plus 9/3, which is 8/3. So my final equation of the line in slope-intercept form is y equals negative 1/3 x plus 8/3. So now I'm going to use the solve for b approach in example 8, y equals mx plus b. But it's the same idea. I'm given 2 points in the line, 3, 5, and 9, 5. So I'm not given a slope. I have to find my slope. So slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I have 5 minus 5 over 9 minus 3, 0 over 6, which is just 0. So I have y, which it doesn't matter which point I use. Let me do the 9, 5 to show it doesn't matter if I use my first point or my second point. So I'm going to use 5 for my y. My slope is 0, and I'm going to use 9 for my x. 0 times 9 is just 0, and so 0 plus b is 0, so my y-intercept is 5. And so I have y equals, you would say 0x plus 5, but we never write down a 0 as a coefficient. So the final answer is y equals 5. And if I were to go back, we've learned in a previous video that a line that has a slope of 0 has no rise, but does have a run. So therefore, it's a horizontal line. And we reviewed that the equation for a horizontal line is always y equals the number it goes through. So we can recognize that as well. So in this video, we examined how to write the equations of lines when given information, either 2 points or being given a point and a slope. And we have our 2 methods that we can use, the point slope form approach or the solve for b approach. Again, do what you're comfortable with, but do be familiar with both approaches.